Today, we are pulling back the curtain on a company that is, well, quietly building the very backbone of our high-tech future. You might not have heard of them, but you're about to understand why they are so important. We're talking about Delta Electronics.
But first, let me ask you a question. What do the biggest revolutions of our time, artificial intelligence, electric vehicles, and green energy, what do they all have in common? They all depend on this foundational layer of technology that, most of us never see, but we really couldn't live without. So, let's talk about these massive technological shifts you hear about every single day, because each one comes with its own kind of hidden challenge. I mean, the opportunities here are just incredible, right? AI is unlocking frontiers we never thought possible. EVs are cleaning up our cities, and green energy promises a sustainable planet for all of us. But here's the catch. Behind each of those promises is a huge challenge. AI's brilliance needs a staggering amount of power. The EV revolution just stalls out if we don't have a world full of chargers. And green energy? It's pretty much useless if we can't manage it efficiently.
And that's where our story really begins. Because behind all the flashy headlines and the famous brands there's this whole ecosystem of companies building the critical, unseen technology that makes everything else possible.
And today, we're going to focus on one of the most important of these unseen engines, a company called Delta Electronics.
Their mission statement pretty much says it all. This isn't just about making little components. It's about tackling the core problem of energy that's at the heart of all our biggest technological leaps. The goal is to make everything smarter, greener, and just radically more efficient.
So, what do they actually do? Well, in simple terms, they're masters of power and heat. They design and build these really sophisticated power supplies and advanced cooling systems that are absolutely essential for modern electronics to work without, melting down.
And if you take a quick look at their revenue, it tells the whole story. Over half their business, more than 54%, is in core power electronics. That's the guts inside servers and telecom gear. But look at that second slice, the 27% from mobility. That's their booming EV solutions business. And that, right there, is where so much of the growth is.
Okay, so let's zoom in on those two massive growth areas, because this is really where Delta is placing its bets on the future, powering the AI and the EV revolutions.
The AI models that we're all talking about, they live in these enormous data centers. And these places are incredibly power hungry. Keeping them running and keeping them from literally overheating is one of the biggest engineering challenges of our time.
So how does Delta fit in? Well, think of it this way. If AI is the brain, Delta builds its hyper-efficient heart and circulatory system. They're the ones designing the specialized power supplies to feed those absolute beastly GPUs. They build the advanced cooling systems to stop the whole thing from going into meltdown. This makes them a critical behind-the-scenes partner to the biggest data center providers in the world.
Okay, next up, the EV revolution. And the growth here isn't just fast, it's absolutely explosive. Projections are showing that by next year, nearly 1 in every 5 new cars sold across the globe is going to be electric. I mean, think about that. Over 15 million new EVs hitting the road in a single year. And every single one of them needs a whole suite of advanced electronics.
And Delta is involved in pretty much every part of this EV ecosystem. They build the critical onboard chargers and power converters that go inside the car. They design the advanced thermal systems that keep the batteries running at a safe temperature. And they manufacture the charging stations you see in people's homes and in public spaces. They're everywhere.
But powering all this new tech raises a huge question. Can we actually do it sustainably? For Delta, the answer has to be yes. Their entire business strategy isn't just built on growth, it's built on green growth.
And they really do practice what they preach. Just look at their own emissions. Their goal was to cut their greenhouse gas emission intensity by about 57% by 2025. Well, they've already hit a 76% reduction. They are absolutely blowing past their own ambitious targets.
But you see, reducing their own footprint is only half the story. Their biggest impact comes from their products out there in the world. In just 1 year, their energy-saving tech helped customers avoid producing 31.4 million tons of carbon dioxide. That is the real-world impact of building efficiency into the very core of our technology.
And this really brings their whole strategy into focus.
For Delta, building an intelligent, connected world is completely inseparable from building a sustainable one. The two goals aren't just related, they actively drive each other forward.
So the question becomes, how are they building a company that's designed not just to succeed right now, but to be resilient for decades to come?
Well, they've set some serious science-based targets. They're aiming for carbon neutrality in their own operations by 2030 and then net zero across their entire value chain, from suppliers to customers, by 2050. I mean, these are huge, long-term commitments.
And they're backing it all up with smart strategy. They're diversifying their manufacturing into Southeast Asia to be more resilient to global trade shocks. They're investing heavily in training the next generation of engineers through their Automation Academy. And they're using their own automation tech to make their own factories smarter and more efficient. Which brings us full circle. The future of AI, of transportation, of energy, it's all being built as we speak. But while our attention is usually on the finished product, the real revolution is often happening one layer down, with the companies designing the essential, unseen engines that power it all. And it leaves you with a question. The future is being built, but do we really know who's holding the blueprints?